let's do this. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Youper Farmer here again for another wonderful episode. I'm no longer going to name the episodes because it dawned on me. You guys might see the homebrew episode coming up here soon. Actually, you should have seen this before you've seen this one. That one will release here soon. But if I keep doing these extra videos, which is definitely what I plan on doing, we are basically, I'm going to lose track of what episode I'm on. So no longer naming the episodes from here on in. That's kind of another lesson learned. For tonight, I have a AJ Ferez. I'm going to slaughter this name. Rosa de Guadalupe. Exclusivoso. Exclusivis. Interesting cigar, actually. Very dark. Churchill size. I've never really been a fan of AJ Ferez cigars until I started watching a YouTuber by the name of Cigars Daily. I highly recommend, if you enjoy anything about cigars, go check out that channel. Very, very interesting. He breaks down the cigars, he sells cigars, and a couple weeks ago found out he hugely, overly supports EMS, fire, and police. Which is just awesome. I absolutely respect and appreciate anyone who supports those public servants. So you might see some more of his. He runs a company called American Viking Cigars. Spoiler alert, you're going to see more of his cigars on these smokeouts, these Friday night little discussions. Because I'm going to be supporting him a lot more than I support a lot of the other cigar companies out there, just because of his work and his dedication he's had, especially recently here, to the public servants. For the drink, as promised, another Muskegon Zone Pigeon Hill Salted Caramel Porter. Now, I'm not a huge fan of salted caramels. Even though I do live in the UP and been to Mackinac Island, Mackinac City more often than not, I'm not a fan of salted caramel. But that doesn't mean I'm not willing to try something new, because as I found, as I talked about during my beer episode, it really is, once you try something new, try something different, especially with beer, you might find a new favorite. So we're going to give this one a try tonight. Beautiful, beautiful porter. Nice, black, beautiful head, actually. That is a good sign right there. If you ever do get a stout, you want it to have that really good, aggressive head. We'll see, it probably won't last very long. Not a lot of American beers can keep a head on them as you drink them down. Well, that is definitely salted caramel. That's actually interesting. Sweet. You can definitely taste the salty flavor. I can say, they can almost say that's a salted caramel fudge in there, because there's just that hint of chocolate with the porter. Very, very tasty. So the plan for this little episode here, I just lost my light. Perfect. Stand by. Okay, we're back again. So some of you might be wondering, why didn't I edit that out? Because that actually fits right along with the topic for tonight. So like I said, I was going to do an unboxing video. I was supposed to get, as I mentioned in one of the first episodes, I joined a Thompson Cigar of the Month Club. They send you 5 cigars once a month for your smoking pleasure, because I'm trying to hunt down and find a new favorite cigar, or favorite brand, which it looks like I'm going to be an American Vikings fan for cigars, again, because of him being so honest and open about his commitment to public servants. But anyhow, the box actually was due in actually about 10 days ago, and not uncommon for whatever reason. The shipping is kind of a disaster right now, the shipping industry, and Thompson especially, theirs have been anywhere from 10 to 14 days late when their expected shipping date. But I was pretty sure it was going to come by this Friday, and I was going to do an unboxing video, show you the cigars, talk about cigars. Didn't happen. So trying to find a topic, and I said, you know what? Let's talk about conspiracy theories. Kind of fitting, my cigars didn't show up for my unboxing video. There must be something conspiring against me. My light died, and I had to go get a power cord for it. Hopefully that doesn't mess with the battery too much, but we'll see here in a little bit. Let's talk about conspiracy theories. I'm actually a huge fan of conspiracy theories. And it's actually kind of a funny story how I got involved in conspiracy theories. So as you all are aware, I've worked on the ambulance. I've been a paramedic now going more than 18 years. I just renewed my license. And was doing a transfer. Was picking up a gentleman. He had to go to a psych unit. He was absolutely bananas. I mean, just good crazy. And those are my favorite. I do love psych patients. Everything from the absolute crazy to helping out people who are going through panic attacks and whatnot. I really have enjoyed handling psychiatric emergencies. So show up, and it was very interesting. Here's this guy, absolutely, he's talking crazy and acting crazy, but he has probably about 4 well-dressed gentlemen in suits. They pull me aside. They're 4 lawyers. And these lawyers, they pull me aside. They say, listen, the guy here you're about to take, he is our legal assistant. Okay, that's good. I'll be careful. And they said, no, you don't understand. When he has a psychiatric condition, we knew that when we hired him. He's the hardest working individual we have ever had. I said, okay, good. That's good. He's like, when he's on his meds. I said, okay, well, tell me more. What's the story? Well, what'll happen is in about every few years, he'll either go on a business trip, get sick, something will happen, and he'll miss 1 dose of medication, and then the next dose, he'll see his poison, he stops taking his meds, he spirals into his paranoid delusion, where he becomes very paranoid, starts calling off work, he does a whole host of other things. And they say, you know, he acts like that for about a month, and my light died again. Well, we're going to go without a light. We'll just roll with it. We'll see if I can get my light working here. We'll see if it'll charge up for me. This video is, again, fitting, very fitting. Even with the charger now, the light died. So anyhow, back to the story. They said that they just really wanted him back. They're very dedicated. He's a great guy when he's on his meds. And he'll be like that for about a month. And then he'll have a moment of clarity, a moment of sanity, where he realizes he needs help. And then he'll call 911. They take him into the hospital. He goes willingly. And then he knows he has to go back into treatment and get back on his meds. The medication, the anti-psych meds he's on, it's not something you can just start again. It's not really something you're supposed to stop either, but he does. So he needs a lot of help getting back on his medication. So I sit down and get him in the back of the rig. We had quite a haul, actually, to his favorite inpatient unit that he likes to go to. Again, the lawyer said they were going to pay for everything, whatever. So it was about 3-hour long trip, quite a haul in the back of the ambulance with this gentleman. And for 3 hours straight, he shares with me every single conspiracy theory that he can in that short time frame. He was going to make me a believer, bring me around. It was just it was a riot. We talked about the Anunnaki, we talked about Nibiru, lizard people, Hollow Earth, what actually happened to the Nazis, the Nazi moon base, JFK assassinations, all the classic ones. He then started going some local ones, some local conspiracy theories about how the local hospital actually was a birth certificate factory. They would print phony birth certificates and sell them. And the government kind of caught on to that, he'd say. So now they'll kill babies, and they'll just won't issue the death certificate for the baby. They'll just keep the birth certificate and sell that off. So I really am having a riot. This guy is just sharing all sorts of good stories, whole host of them. Talks about how they are International Space Station is actually weaponized, and they use the mirror telescope to fry people from space. And again, good times. I'm laughing. I'm not really paying much attention. We get to the psych unit. I'm checking him in, and he has another one of those moments of clarity. And if you've ever worked around people who have any mental issues, these psychiatric emergencies, you can tell when all of a sudden they get this moment of clarity, this moment of sanity, we'll call it. And he looks at me and my partner. He's like, I'm sorry. I know I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy. And we were like, okay, well, that's good. Admitting you have a problem is the first step. And he says, I know those, probably about, I'd say 95% of my conspiracy theories are fake. Yeah, yeah. I'd go 93, 98% even. And he agreed. He said, okay, let's say 98% of my conspiracy theories are complete and utter false. Doesn't that 2% still kind of scare the pants off of you? Kid you not, me and my partner, who between us, I think at the time we had at least 30 years worth of experience, we stopped dead in our steps. It was just, wow. Yeah, 2%. If even 2% of the theories he shared in those 3 hours were real, that's crazy. That's well, I hated to use the term. I didn't use it to him, obviously, but that's insane. So it was a quiet drive actually back to the station, and I found myself going online and researching conspiracy theories, seeing what's out there, learning more about them. And it's an interesting world when you actually get into conspiracy theories. Now let's outline conspiracy theory. There's a formula that comes in when you start a conspiracy theory, you have a conspiracy theory. So to kind of tell you that formula, I'm going to tell you one of my favorite recent ones. Makes me chuckle. And by recent, this one now is about 4 years old. But it's one of those I like to bring up when we talk about the elements of a conspiracy theory. So you need, the conspiracy theory goes like this. So many of you probably remember about 4 years ago, it was 2016. I was actually working for the health department at the time, and we all get alerts that Hawaii had initiated their mass alert, their HON notification system, and sent out a message saying missiles inbound, nuclear missiles inbound, seek shelter, be with your loved ones, and pray. I forget exactly what the message said, but basically nukes were inbound. Seek shelter. Went across all of the Hawaiian Islands. They got these alerts. The planes were scrambled. People were diving into bunkers. Just complete and utter chaos and pandemonium. So it turned out it was a fake. A gentleman who was working the command desk. And if you guys have never been in disaster preparedness, we run drills constantly. We're always practicing for natural disasters, man-made disasters. We have what we call them exercises. So every morning they run an exercise in this unit. And apparently, and I can confirm this, you press a button that says test, and it sends out a little test message. It tests the system, but it only goes to a handful of cell phones throughout the area to confirm that it actually works. Well, apparently this guy, who's not new, pressed the actual button, which is it is a bit of a process. There's a lot of warnings. Do you actually want to send this out? Story goes, he accidentally pressed it, sent this alert, sent out a huge apology. That's the face story that we hear when we bring up this story. Here's a conspiracy theory part. There was a gentleman who was in a more prestigious part of Hawaii. Turns out that he was just down the street from the Clinton compound. that is in Hawaii. And they were running around. They had their hazmat suits on. They had guns out. They were locking down because it turns out Hillary, or at least the Clinton family, was at this compound. After she had lost the election, she wanted to kind of just hang out and get away from society. And so they locked that whole place down. Well, shortly thereafter, online, there was a conspiracy theory that said Trump actually ordered them to actually send out a live drill, or Trump himself sent out this live drill to kind of, poke Hillary and put the screws to her and mess with her on her vacation as kind of a way to say, haha, I won. So Trump actually commanded that alert be sent out. Now, of course, I don't honestly believe that, but it makes for a good example of a conspiracy theory. So a good conspiracy theory, one, needs some element of truth. So in truth, yes, that alert did go out. In truth, the Clintons were staying in the Hawaiian Islands. Now, I don't know if Hillary specifically was there, but there was Clinton family who was at their timeshare resort, condo, whatever you want to call it. So that's what every single conspiracy theory needs, some hint of truth. You cannot deny any of that. The alert went out. That's public knowledge. The Clintons were there, or at least some members of them were there. Again, we can confirm that. Now you need the next part is a plausible truth. So the plausible truth is that a lot of people do believe that Trump is a bit vindictive, a bit childish. So it's plausible. In your head, you can say, I can see him doing that. And then you have the extraordinary. The extraordinary is that he specifically did that to target the Clintons and ruin their vacation. Now, once you get past the truth into the plausible you can still kind of believe. It's that next part that really makes conspiracy theories what they are. It's the extraordinary. You can't prove it. There is no way to prove it. If you told it without the rest of that, it'd make no sense whatsoever. If you just said that, it was Trump did that on purpose, well, that's not. Why would he do that? That doesn't even make sense. To threaten or to scare the living daylights out of a whole island's worth of people, that just doesn't even make sense. And but when you add in the other portions of it, well, now that's something we can get behind. That's something we can say, well, what is there more to this? We need to look into this. Let's do some more research. But it's that extraordinary claim that many times there is no evidence. How would you prove that Trump sent that alert? Some deep investigation into the deep state and looking into his personal journals and getting people to talk, and truthfully, you'll never be able to prove it. But there's enough truth, there's enough stuff out there that you're willing to make that logical jump. And it's with any of the real conspiracy theories out there where there's missing information, so you're going to deduce what you think actually happened. Another real good classic one is the Kennedy assassination. The fact that, the assassination, they first said, well, there's no way he could have taken that many shots in that quick of time. Even though there are contemporary shooters, even non-professional shooters, who could take I believe it was 4 shots in under 30 seconds. Accurately put them down range. Mind you, the shooter in the Kennedy assassination was actually an awarded marksman. He was a Marine. Had his marksman's award, so he probably could have taken those shots. So then, truth was, there were a lot of shots taken in a very short period of time. That we can confirm. We can confirm that the president was actually shot and killed. But now it's that extraordinary we start building on. It is that, well, were there multiple people? Was Oswald just the patsy? Was he the fall guy? And there was other people who were responsible for that assassination? That's what we'll never be able to answer. And anytime you don't find proof, sometimes not finding proof is proof. Well, they covered it up. Well, do you have proof that he actually was a Russian spy who was sent to kill Kennedy? Well, no, but they'd cover that up immediately. So the fact that we didn't find proof is proof that that it does exist. There's the conspiracy theory. There's the cycle for you. Start with some truth, some very plausible truths. Build in, or start with confirmable truths. We can confirm this. A lot of shots were taken in the Kennedy situation. Actual alert was sent out. For the Hawaii one, plausible truths. Yes, those shots were taken in a remarkable amount of time. There were a lot of shots very quickly taken. There was a lot of mismanagement of the Kennedy investigation. For the Hawaii one with Trump, he was a very bitter rival, and people see him as childish. Then becomes the extraordinary, where we take that leap of faith, and we start having stuff that can never be proven. Was Oswald really a Russian spy? Well, we can't prove it one way or the other, unless there's some groundbreaking document that comes to life and shows us that there's more to this than meets the eye. We're really not going to know. Now, why do I follow conspiracy theories? Because that 2%. That 2% that are true. There are many, many, many conspiracy theories. I shouldn't say many, many. There are quite a few conspiracy theories that are 100% true. MK Ultra, the study where they took and gave psychedelic and psychotropic drugs to unwitting and unknowing volunteers, or patients. I shouldn't say volunteers. They didn't volunteer for it. That actually happened. The CIA actually did that, but it was a conspiracy theory for many, many, many years. Some of the alien conspiracy theories were semi-proven. So Roswell being a test site for the military, the Air Force, they did have next-gen aircraft. But now they liked the alien conspiracy theory because it kind of diverted for what it was. They had next-generation stealth bombers and stealth fighters. There's an awesome story about a pilot who, once you get past the declassification phase, he was finally able to come out, talk about he was actually in one of the first stealth bombers. I believe it was actually the U-2 that he was test piloting out of Area 51. And he crashed it because it's a test plane. That's what it does. He was told, though, when farmers and people come to investigate, he would tell people, I have nuclear ordnance in there, so the whole place is radioactive. Which that's great. People will shy away, will run away from that as fast as they can. But the next step up is they would use this alien story. It's alien wreckage. That's why they have all these men come running in and take this strange craft that no one's ever seen before and skirt it away. So there are a lot of those conspiracy theories that are proven. One kind of contemporarily that started off as a conspiracy theory was the dreaded virus that's going around right now. When it first hit, there was a lot of chatter on conspiracy theory sites. When China first mentioned that they had this virus running around, but we were told that they were being a conspiracy theorist. There was truth. There was a virus going around. The speculation was that it was out of control. The extraordinary was that it was going to be across the globe and be a pandemic. Well, those conspiracy theorists were proven right. That's exactly what happened. Now, whether it was weaponized or whether it was intentional, that's stuff that those conspiracy theories, again, you'll never be able to prove that. But it allows for those of us who study conspiracy theories and study them in the fact that, okay, what truths are there? What's plausible? So you hear about this, well, maybe it's time I look at what if a pandemic did hit here? Now, I'm not saying that I went full on. We started duct taping our windows and grabbing hazmat suits and N95s off the shelves. But it was a time when I said, okay, let's stop. If this is true, if this is one of the 2% situations, what can I do to be more ready for it or more prepared for it? So we did. We kind of looked. We had some of our preparedness supplies were a little low. Some of our food stores were a little low. So, you know, we were going to do it anyway. Why don't we go ahead and use this time to kind of buy up and get some supplies? It wouldn't hurt, might help. Even if it proved that the virus didn't do anything, it was still something we probably should have been doing for a while. That's how I like to view these conspiracy theories. Now, again, I love even the most craziest ones. Nibiru is one of my favorite ones I love looking into and researching. If you guys don't know, that is, well, it was the 10th planet until they unfortunately decided Pluto was no longer a planet. Now it's this ninth planet, and it depends on who you read, every 1,000 to 5,000 to 10,000 years, it crosses into Earth's orbit and shifts our magnetic pole. Now, do I really believe that there's this 10th ghost planet, that super dense planet that crosses our path? There's not a lot of evidence to that. Now, is there some evidence that the Earth's core will flip? Yes. Is there even evidence in scientists saying, you know what, we're kind of due for it? In geological times, we might even be overdue, where it's, within the next 1,000 years, the Earth's pole could flip. Okay, well, how can we be ready for that? What's some sane steps we could take? Well, do we have, the way to grow our own food? If it does cause the EMP that they're expecting, where it wipes out electronics, do we have ways to supply energy off the grid? And it kind of keeps preparing and prepping a little more fun, a little more lively. Sure, preparing for a bad snowstorm. That's definitely more practical. That's definitely going to happen. That's outside the range of conspiracy theories, but it's not a lot of fun, especially talking to people about it and preparing for that. That's kind of boring. I'm going to be honest with you. If you get into prepping, there's a lot of boring stuff out there that when you start prepping, you're like, oh, all right, fine. I've got to get some more kerosene for the kerosene heater, because what if we get a big snowstorm? Now, if I say, well, I better grab some kerosene in case Nibiru shows up next year and flips the poles and we end up going out without power, we need a way to heat the house. That's kind of fun. It's kind of funny. And again, simple steps. The steps are still the same, whether I'm preparing for a snowstorm or Nibiru switching over. It just gives me some more personal enjoyment when I look at these prepping stuff. And again, I think it's that 2%. Really it is. If you don't listen to these theories, you'll never hear that 2%. If nothing else, if you've already pre-heard about it, it's in your mind. And one of the big things when I talk about prepping, I talk about personal readiness. Especially when I'm teaching my EMTs and paramedics, I always tell them, imagine worst case scenarios. So play through your head what it's like to be at a car crash. What could happen? Could the engine set on fire? Could another car smash into you? Okay, you guys imagine the worst case scenarios. Now, I want you to actively imagine in your mind, when you're going to the bathroom, when you're taking a shower, when you're doing a long drive, what would I do next? What would I do if I was at a car accident and I got hollered, incoming, watch out, and a car started to careen towards me? All right, I would jump, I duck and cover. Well, wait a minute, if I duck and cover, I'll probably be right underneath the wheels or the engine compartment of the incoming car. Okay, maybe I should jump on top of the car and try to jump up and over the car. Well, then I'm not in the direct path, but the car will be unstable and I might be thrown backwards. Do I tuck and roll? Well, I could be rolling right into the car if I don't know exactly where it is. These are the things I kind of train my medics and my EMTs to do. Think about it. Again, it's a conspiracy theory. Even having a car potentially crash into your accident scene. There's not a lot of evidence that it will happen. Has it happened? Sure. But it's kind of an extraordinary thought. That's really crazy. That doesn't happen that often. And it doesn't. In the grand scheme of things, that doesn't happen that often. But that 2% of the time that it does, you're ready for it. You've taken some precautions. Maybe you make sure to wear your high visibility vest. Maybe you make sure that when you go into that accident scene, you have a way in and a way out that's safe. That's how I view conspiracy theories. And I do love them. Again, I collect them. If someone comes up to me and says, oh, I got this crazy conspiracy theory, I will sit down, I'll buy you a cup of coffee, I'll buy you a beer, I want to hear it. Because if nothing else, it allows me to stop and think, well, what would I do? What would I do if aliens suddenly landed? Well, I guess I'd grab my rifle and start shooting. Well, would I? Is that the best way to deal with that? I mean, they were able to traverse the stars. Do I really want to shoot them and kind of tick them off? No, that doesn't work. Well, do I want to bow down to the alien overlords and tell them I'll pledge my allegiance? Do I, though? Would I actually do that? Now, mind you, it's fun. It's kind of fun and funny to do. And will it ever happen? No, probably not. Not in our lifetime. Who knows? But again, those are practices where maybe something similar to that, not aliens necessarily, might actually happen. I've already thought about that. What if we had a group of, let's say a gang formed in this city, in this town? We started to have a lot of gang-related activity. Well, would I bow down to them? Would I shoot at them? Would I try to befriend them? Would I negotiate with them? Granted, they're not aliens, but there's similar parallels. What would they do? What would I do? What would be their response? It allows you to kind of pre-think those things. A good example actually is looking at zombies and the recent riots we've had. There's a lot of parallels. What do you do if there's a big group of people who are not going to listen to reason? Zombies, traditionally, they don't listen to reason. They're mindless. They follow the crowd. They attack people without warning. Well, that's a lot like a riot mentality with riots and looters. Okay, so what do we do for zombies? Well, we lock down our house. We are prepared to engage if we have to, but we won't because we don't want to call attention to ourselves. So you try to make yourself as minimal of a target as possible. So turn off lights, turn off noise. Hopefully if the group of rioters comes by, they just keep going so you're less of a target. Same thing works with zombies. Zombies and rioters, I kind of have those two parallels. Again, conspiracy theories. Do I honestly believe that the dead will rise up from the ground and start attacking the living? Oh, no, of course not. But is it possible that a riot could break out and people act like zombies? Yeah, that's a little more possible. Again, there's some conspiracy theories with that too, about these riots, but it's more, okay, if that did happen, what would I do? Pre-think, pre-plan. That's why I really love conspiracy theories. I'll always search them out, and I'll always do that. I'll see what the truth is. What is the truth? Because every conspiracy theory will have that hint of truth. What's the plausible truth? Again, what is, okay, I can see that, and then what's the extraordinary? That extraordinary is that one makes it interesting, makes it fun, but it's probably not true. But we can take that, look at it, and use it to our benefit to pre-plan, pre-think about this stuff. And I don't recommend it to everyone. It can get you, if you're not careful, you can go very deep and dark into these conspiracy theories, really buy into them to the point where you're believing some extraordinary type stuff, some stuff that's like, that's not even possible. So something to think about. Again, I highly recommend look up some conspiracy theories. Go into them logically. What's true? What's plausible? And then what's the extraordinary? You can kind of pan out real quick which ones are very, very crazy, because sometimes you can't even get to the plausible without going, really? I don't know about that. But then once you kind of get a good laugh, read about them, kind of file them away, bring them back up and say, well, what if that was true? What would I do? What would I do if the dead started coming to life? Because it might not be dead. It might dead coming back to life. It might be rioters. What do I do if aliens all of a sudden come down? Well, maybe instead of aliens, again, it's a rival gang comes in. Robot uprising, right? The AI comes and starts taking over your computers, and the Skynet comes down upon us. Well, what about hackers that can lock you out of computers or drain your bank accounts, or very close parallels there? That's something, though, I can be actively preparing for. So if you're looking into becoming a prepper, look at some of these conspiracy theories again, not buying into them, but what if? And how can I relate that more to what's actually going on, what's actually plausible and actually possible? Again, it's entertaining, it's fun, and that 2%, it wouldn't hurt if you had some pre-warning about them. So anyway, now that my light has died, my package is late, watch this video, the sound doesn't capture or something. Again, conspiracy theories. What's true? I'm having some tech issues. I'm having some delivery issues. What's plausible? Plausible is that there's some sort of malfunctions that all went together. But what's that extraordinary is that the government doesn't want me to tell the truth about conspiracy theories. Food for thought. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you later.